Welcome to part two of your Four Lads press conference coverage, and it was the turn of Ben Godfrey to meet the press this time as he did his first press conference in Rangers colours. To open up the press conference, he spoke about the reasons why he joined Rangers. He felt that the size and stature of the club was something that suited him because he wanted to come and play somewhere where there was expectations for him and that he thrives under that pressure. And it was really good to hear him talk like that, because we've seen signings come into the building and it's that pressure and expectation that really gets them. Now, it's obviously got to transpire onto the pitch, but he certainly gave the right answer when it came to that, and it harks back to some of the comments that Ross made in his press conference about the character of the signings that we've made as well. And you know, you'll hear in the press conference that towards the end of that, Ben Godfrey also talks about the character of the signings and the group of players that we've got at Ibrox. So from that point of view, really positive thing to hear. I think the other thing to mention from a Godfrey standpoint is that actually he looks a big boy, really physical. So again, when you're looking at what we're going to have in that centre half area, Fernandes is one of the starters. You've Godfrey there potentially coming in to try and stake his claim. He's not going to be, or he shouldn't be, physically outmatched against any striker in the SPFL. I think one of the things that he did touch on was the highs and lows of his career, and the great thing was he fronted that up and he answered it really well. I think he talked about using the good and the bad experiences throughout the course of his time at Atlanta, some of the loans that he's had in his time at Brøndby, to really drive him. He doesn't have any regrets about the moves that he's made. He just is using that to try and build on that experience and take that forward into his next role. And you can see that he's clearly excited by the prospect of coming to play at Ibrox. One of the things that I'd asked him about was how can he use that experience and influence with the younger players, and it was a really good answer from that perspective as well. At 28, he knows that he'll be seen as one of the senior leaders, and he did acknowledge that it's up to him and the other senior players within the squad to be able to drive the standards and I guess show these young players what it takes to make it into the first team. He spoke about when he was breaking through, there was a number of mentors that he had at Norwich and clubs that helped guide him on what was required to make it through into the first team. So having players like McCrory and Godfrey who have been there and done it, Ross has obviously gone through his experience of having to leave Rangers to get first team football, and Ben is talking about the experiences that he's got playing in different countries. That can only help some of these young players evolve and really understand the demands of what it makes to get into the first team. And there was a bit of a laugh when the question was asked about his dad and his influence that he had, because he was a professional rugby player, and he kind of made the joke of that, he kind of gets brought up in every conversation, so his dad's absolutely loving the limelight. But he made the point that, again, he's came from a family that's really supported him and that have demands on him when it came to the way that he was looking at making his way in professional sport. And lastly, you could see that there was a real hunger there. Somebody brought up the point about trying to get back into the England squad. Obviously, that's something that he still really wants to do, but he made it very clear the only way that's ever going to be a possibility is if he can really perform at a club level. He's come in off the back of a really good loan spell at Brøndby. Steve Cooper, the other manager, has spoken about the leadership and the engagement and the performances that he put in from a Brøndby standpoint. So hopefully he can kind of utilise that to really kick on when it comes to his time at Ibrox. I think the last thing that was really interesting, the long COVID thing was brought up, and the one thing that came across as he spoke about that was that that's really made him appreciate the experiences that he's got. So he's fully over it. He's kind of said that's in the past now. It was a really difficult time, but he's worked extremely hard on his fitness to get back to where he thinks he's in his best shape. If he can be a physical, pacey defender, he's going to be a great addition to the first team at Ibrox. Question marks are always going to come when you've got a player who's missed football, not for injury, but because they haven't been playing. He fully acknowledges that he pushed himself to go and join Atlanta, experienced that. It was a different way of life, it was a different type of football, and he's learned a lot from that. And if he can come here and perform like he did in his early days at Norwich, we're going to get a really good player. on our hands. Again, really good presser, came across very confident, and definitely seems like a player that's really happy to be here at Ibrox. I think it's going to be one of those ones where once the football starts, that's when people are going to be able to judge him. Talking the game is one thing, but being able to put the performances on the pitch is another. You know, it definitely sounds like he's going to thrive in the spotlight when it comes to playing for Rangers. Performances are going to be the thing that judge him, but really interesting 2 press conferences to be part of today. Hopefully there'll be a few more that we can bring you before the football starts. Thanks again to everybody for tuning in. Thanks again for your support for the pod, and I look forward to covering more press conferences for Forlad in the future.
How much have you enjoyed your first few days as a Rangers player?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I've been welcomed, really well by everyone at the club, which is always nice. I couldn't wait to get started and get on the grass, and yeah, I've enjoyed every second of it.
Why did you feel like this was the right move then for you?
I think the characteristics of the club suits me. When I look at the history and the size of the club, I think it's a perfect place to be for me. Looking forward to all the challenges. I think I'm excited to work under the manager, and yeah, it's going to be an exciting year.
People talk about the pressure that it takes to play at Rangers. Is that something you feel you'll thrive at?
Yeah, I think you start to learn as a player that if you don't have any pressure in your career, then you're probably not at the level that you want to be. It's a given that when you're at a club this size, there's going to be pressure that comes with it. So it's important that you use that in a positive way.
What did the manager say to you when you first had initial discussions, and what were your first sort of impressions of him be?
Yeah, he's great. Obviously his career speaks for itself. We're just excited to work together. No matter how old you are, even at my age now, there's still plenty that I can learn from the manager. So now I'll give my all every day for him and in every game. He's a great guy, and yeah, he'll do well for this club. He'll give his all.
And why did you feel at this point in your career that this was the right move for you?
As I said, the pressure of the club, the size of the club, these are the clubs that you want to play for in your career. When you watch games as a kid, there's always games that Rangers are involved in that you watch. And yeah, as I said in my earlier interviews, it's a club that's recognised worldwide, and that's where you want to be as a player, with this shirt on representing this badge.
I know you obviously played quite a lot in the second half of last season, but presumably for you as well, really important to get a lot of football this campaign as well.
Yeah, definitely. Early on in the year, the run of games that I put together was massive for me. It's so important, for my body. I think that's any player as well. When you get regular football, you start to find a rhythm, start to get your mass sharpness back. And yeah, fingers crossed I can do that again. Be on that pitch, regularly enough and help this club keep on.
Since those years down at Everton, Ben, how would you kind of sum up the highs and lows, and where do you see you now as a player in terms of experiences?
Yeah, I've had all sorts of experiences throughout my career, highs and lows, the very top and obviously the very lowest as well. I think that's just football. You just got to ride them out. I think it's made me the person that I am today. It's made me the player that I am today. I don't regret anything throughout my career. I learn from every day, every week that goes by. And yeah, I can use all that playing experiences and off-pitch experience to be as successful as I can here.
Hi Ben, there's been quite a few examples of players who have come up to the Scottish football with a background in English football, quite a high-profile background, who have struggled to adapt to the intensity and the pressure, the expectation here. What do you need to do to make sure that you're a success here, and how confident are you that you can be part of a successful Rangers side this season?
Yeah, listen, I can't speak on former players that have struggled with those sort of things. All I can do is control my own path and my own career, and it starts with me on the grass, working hard every day, training as hard as I can. Being a Rangers player 24/7, working hard, and the rest will take care of itself.
Ben, obviously moving out to Italy must have taken you out your comfort zone, given you'd always been playing in England previous to that. What have you learned since moving out to Atalanta? It's been a totally different kind of career path for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's completely different. I give credit to any player that moves out of their home country to start a new life and play football. It is difficult. I learned a lot football-wise. The game's played completely different, tactically, technically, which is a good experience. You know, albeit I didn't get many minutes there, there's still plenty of things that I can take from that period. Ended up learning a little bit of Italian as well, which is interesting. So yeah, no. Overall, listen, people can look back and say you didn't play many games, but it was a chapter that I took stuff from.
Just following on from that experience of playing abroad, you're going to be coming in here as one of the senior players in the squad. How can you use that experience to influence the youngsters that are going to be playing at Ibrox and hopefully making it into the first team?
Yeah, as you get older in your career, as we mentioned earlier, like the experiences that you get, that you take on as you get older. At 28 years old now, I think I've experienced quite a lot of things in football. And I can drive standards every day. That's what the manager and this club expects of players. So I'll certainly do that. It's the type of character that I am. I think certain things are given: hard work, how you represent this club day to day. And yeah, I'm someone that's always going to be around to help the young players and sort of teach them what it takes to stay and to break through at this sort of level. I had people above me who did that when I was their age. And yeah, I think it's going to be important for us senior players in this team to do that, to drive everyone on, to keep everyone together. And when undoubtedly there is going to be tough times in a season, we can be there to keep everyone together and pull through it.
You brought up in a household where your dad was a former professional rugby league player. Did you find that experience a help through your career, particularly when you were going through the hard yards?
Everywhere I go, my old man seems to get a mention in. Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, he's buzzing about it as well.
I can mention his name if you want.
Yeah, I suppose so. He went down a different route in terms of rugby. But yeah, listen, he was never pushy. He was never pushy or anything with sport. But he was always there to teach me, what type of person you needed to be to make it in professional sport, and that goes for any sport really. Yeah, listen, without him I would have struggled to make it where I am today. He'll probably play it down, even though he'll mention this interview now that you've brought it up. But that goes for, to be honest, my whole family and my mum as well. Although she's a hairdresser, I didn't learn to cut hair very well. But listen, I'm lucky to have good family around me, and yeah, I'll always be thankful for that.
In terms of your own style of play, obviously you've listed potential as a centre back, you played midfield, full back. Is that giving you an appreciation, and where is centre back really where you prefer to be? Yeah,
definitely centre back's where I prefer to be. Listen, throughout my career I've been, if I get told to play a different position, it don't matter to me. I'll go out there and I'll give 110%. To try and help the boys and help the team. But yeah, I think personally I'd probably class myself as a centre half, more likely. Yeah.
First off, welcome to the club. Any Rangers fan that's not seen you play, how would you describe your style of play? Are you that aggressive front foot defender as we build?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would class myself as front footed, aggressive, and obviously I like to lead as well. I think I can bring that personality to the pitch. I think that'll suit us. Being on the front foot and keeping the pressure on opposition teams. So yeah, that's how I would describe myself.
It's pretty evident what the club are doing in terms of making big transfer moves early on and getting the club in a position to strengthen. From your early sort of days in here, how do you assess the club, the quality that the manager's bringing in? How successful do you aim to be this season?
It's not just about the quality, it's always there. To come into this building, you've got to be a good player. But it's also the right characters as well. I think the manager's big on that. He picks carefully the right type of people that come into the building, and as I said, myself, senior player, Ross, senior player, and characters that all want to point their nose in the same direction and push this club forward. So yeah, the quality is there with the players that come in, but definitely the characters as well.
You mentioned obviously Ben about the experiences you've had, and probably one of the most challenging ones would have been the long COVID thing. Can you tell us just how difficult that period was in your career, and does it perhaps you make you more appreciative of the good times when they come?
Yeah, COVID was a crazy time. But yeah, it was years ago. You know, all that was it's behind me now. I had to work hard to get over it, and yeah, I think that comes with age as well. I think appreciating the good times in football. I think a career that goes by you so quick, you learn to enjoy every second of it, and that's tough times and good times. You've got to embrace every second, because once it's done, it's done. So yeah, I think now my mindset is definitely just to enjoy it, learn as much as I can, and be as successful as I can.
Last one, please.
Ben, you've obviously had experience in and around the England international scene. I know it's one step at a time, you've just come here, but you've shown you've got the qualities to do it. You spoke about the size of this club, the worldwide reputation, and when you see you think play here can give you a chance to get back there.
Yeah, I think you know, it's always the same answer when it comes to the national team. Obviously, I got a taste of it before, and I think every person's dream is to represent the national team. I've always got that hunger, but yeah, listen to the club football. If that's successful and that means you're performing consistently for your club, then the rest will take care of itself. My focus is on playing well for Rangers now. Working out this pre-season, and then going to win games with Rangers Football Club.
Can I say one thing that which is the current Rangers players who are just now within the last 16 in the World Cup, which shows you how doable that is. It's attainable, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah.
Thank you guys. Guys, moving on to
Four Lads Rangers podcast is sponsored by Candid, LBJ Consultants, CBD Oil Scotland, in partnership with Black Rooster, Art of Gold, and Rangers Youth Development Company. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.